Hello, everybody, and welcome to our study guide for the midterm. Let's get started by talking about which chapters we're going to cover. We're going to be looking over chapters 3, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13. Now, I didn't assign you specifically to read chapter 12, but in class we talked extensively about Romanesque art, especially cathedrals, so it may be a good idea to make sure to skim through chapter 12. Um, since we did cover some of the material from there. Now, with regards to chapters, what's the best way to study? I don't expect you to reread chapters 3, 7, 9, 11, 12, and 13 completely, but I do think it's a good idea that you skim through each of them, familiarize yourself with which eras the particular chapters are talking about, the general timelines in those chapters, and the differences in the styles of art that were discussed in those chapters, and just make little notes to yourself just so when it comes time, because you will be allowed to use your book on the midterm, that you'll be able to know which section to go to. So, for example, if you see a question about Greek art, you won't waste time skimming through chapters 11 or 12. You'll know exactly to go to chapter 7, which covers the area of Greek art. The same thing if I'm talking about Gothic art. You won't waste time reading through chapters 11 when you'll know that Gothic art is contained in chapter 13. That's one of the helpful parts about using your book, is that you can look into it, but you don't want to waste time by not being familiar with which sections are in which chapters, because then you'll just be wasting time. And the midterm is timed. You'll have an hour and a half, which is the first part of class, to go through the entire midterm. But as you guys are aware, time goes quickly, so you don't want to waste time by not being familiar with what's inside the book itself. So that's my best tip for you with regards to studying the chapters, is to make sure, at least at a minimum, skim through them, take notes as to which each chapter discusses, and then try to generally familiarize yourself with the styles and the general timelines discussed in those chapters. Now, if you want to take it a step further, just make little notes to yourself about the big bold letters that you see in the various chapters, because those are easy questions for me to ask you about the bolded words that are in them, especially pictures as well, because I'll be including pictures like I did on the quiz where you saw when I was talking about Doric, Ionic, and Corinthians, where I had you point which one's which. I'll be using similar ideas to that when discussing questions on the midterm. So like I said, just skim through them, but make sure to know which chapters cover which eras. Now, the next thing, I would suggest rewatching all the videos I've posted on InGrade, because I will be asking questions specifically from those videos. But I would not waste time reading all of the articles I posted on InGrade that deal with do we need art, because that's going to be for your final project. I've just been posting those in the beginning. I will continue to post articles on do you need art to survive, but that is for the final project. So you don't want to waste your time by having to reread all those, but I do strongly suggest that you go back and look through all the videos I posted, because I will ask specific questions from those. Now, the next item is stuff that I've gone over in class. I will ask specific questions about poetry. I'll ask specific questions about troubadours and about castles that we discussed during class as well. I'll also have some questions about stained glass and monastic art, the building and binding of old ancient medieval books. So I'll be asking questions about those. Now, as you notice in class, I use a website. It's the Khan Academy. It's KHAN Academy, ACADEMY. And I basically, if you want to check out this website, all you have to do is type in Khan Academy and then art history in Google search, and it'll come up. Especially you want to look at the section called Smart History, because that is where I get most of our slides from. As you saw when we went over last class, they have sample quizzes on there and the like. If you have problems finding that website, by all means email me tomorrow or Friday, and I can definitely send you some helpful tips about finding that website, because it's also a good tool for you to review as well, because that's where I get a lot of the material that we're discussing in class about. But I'm not limited to that when I'm going to be asking some of the questions on the midterms. But as before, you'll be able to use your book, you'll be able to use your notes, but you want to at least familiarize yourself with the basic elements, because you want to not waste time trying to find different material when you're going through the book, because that's what eats up the most time. Now, with regards to how to take the test, there will be some multiple choice, some pictures for you to look at, and some small writing sections. Extremely almost similar to our first quiz, just longer, But you guys are all going to do great. You've been doing great so far, so I wish you the best of luck. But like I said, if you have any specific questions about getting to the Khan Academy or anything else I've talked about in this midterm study guide, by all means, feel free to let me know and send me an email either on Thursday or Friday. And remember also to send your 4 photos for our photo project that's due. I need those photos by Sunday. Thank you very much, and see you guys in class.